Hello everyone. Today topic is authentication 2. Let's see what is authentication 2. Before going to what is authentication 2, first we'll see what are the issues of authentication 1 and how we'll overcome those issues in authentication 2 here. So as we know that in the authentication 1 you have used two types of the cryptographies. One is secret key cryptography and another one is the public key cryptography. So now in the public key cryptography you are having the sum of the disadvantages. So those are the advantages for the secret key cryptography. So first one is DC, that is digital certificate, and public key infrastructure are needed in support of public key cryptography. So but for this too, for maintaining the digital certificate and to set up the public key infrastructure, what are the cost you require? No, that cost is high. That is the substantial cost to set up and maintain a key high. This is the one disadvantage. Next one is the key operations. Public and private key operations are relatively slow compared to secret key operations, because here you have to share both public and private keys. Okay, and for that what are the operations you will know, that is that procedure is very slow here. So these are the two cons of the public key cryptography. But even in the secret key cryptography also rank the some of the disadvantages. Let's see what are those. First one is, for example, in the secret key cryptography also you require the key, and that key also before communication you must be shared between the entities here. Sharing a key with each party it wishes to communicate with. Okay, so with whom this particular entity want to communicate, before communication first though both the entities must have the share key. Okay, for example, that entity communicates with a large number of other entities, then it must share a secret with each of those parties. Okay, then it is very difficult to share share the key with the very large number of the entities. Even for managing and also securely storing a large number of keys is a non-trivial task here. So these are the some of the disadvantages of the secret key cryptography. So now these are the some of the disadvantages of the public key cryptography. Now how will overcome these issues? So for that one approach is there, that is the you need to use a trusted third party here. That trusted third party only you call as what here? Key distribution center. So what is the work of key distribution center? Key distribution center work is what? It has to maintain the keys of the all the entities. Okay, and it has to distribute the different types of the keys to the each the entities based on their requirement. So for that, first which are the users want the keys, they have to register here. First user has to register here and they have to choose a password. For choosing that password, what are the functions you'll use? No, that function only you are use as a long-term secret key. Long-term secret key, it is used between the user and the KDC. KDC means key distribution center. So now after that, KDC will generate a common session key, and that common session key you call as a short-term secret key, and this key is usually used to communicate between the two parties, that is between the two users. So this long-term secret key is between the user and the key distribution center, and this short-term key, okay, that is between the two entities. Okay, so now let's see with the one example, message confidentiality using a KDC. How confidentially it share the messages? Let's see. For example, A and B are the two entities. Now A want to communicate with the B. So for that, first what is the thing that A will do now? Entity A will send the message. That message contains identity of A, and it sends the message with the I wish to communicate with the B here. This is the first message A will initiate, and it sends that message to whom? That is to KDC, Key Distribution Center. After receiving this message, KDC will send the reply to the A, that is the message to. What message to contains? That is the KAB. AB means what it is, entities A and B use it generates one common session key. Okay, that session key only are represented in the form of what, KAB, and this is the short term key here. Okay, so in the previous slide I told that is what, short term secret key, that is the common session key here. KDC will generate common session key, and that session key is encrypted using what, long term, that is the long term key of the A here. Okay, so now this is the key of A, that is private key of the A is used to encrypt this message, and this key is used for which purpose, to communicate between the entity and KDC. Okay, so this is for communication between the entities and the KDC. That key only you call as a long term key, and use with the help of that long term key, your session keys are encrypted, and that session key is sent to entity A and also entity B. For sending entity A, it is encrypted with the long term key of A, and for B it is encrypted with the long term key of the B here, that is the private keys of A and private key of B here, and same common session key is sent to both A and B here. After receiving, entity A and B will decrypt these two messages with the help of their keys. After decrypting, they will get the session key, and they can use this session key to communicate further between these two entities. This is how actually KDC works. Usually two protocols are there. These two protocols make the use of this KDC. One is the Needham-Schroeder protocol, and another one is the Kerberos protocol. These are the protocols. It takes the help of this KDC. Let's see how these protocols utilize this KDC and what are the procedure it follows. Let's see. First, we'll see the Needham-Schroeder protocol. The Needham-Schroeder protocol, so it is the mutual authentication protocol. You already know that what is mutual authentication protocol. Mutual authentication protocol means what? If two entities want to communicate, before communication A and B must be authenticate each other. For authentication, they are using one protocol, that is what you call challenge response phase, that is the challenge response protocol, and that challenge response protocol only you call what, as a nonce, and this one is what, randomly generated number here. Okay, so if they want to communicate, for that they are using a KAB. KAB is what it is the session key here. So now when they want to communicate, so entity A will generate a nouns, and it forwards that nouns to the entity B. When entity B receives that nouns, it decrements the nouns, and it sends and it encrypts the nouns of its own, and it forward that to the entity A here. So now whenever entity A receives, so then it meaning of that one is what? So if it is decremented by 1, so what are the nouns it is generated, that nouns if it is reduced by 1, then entity A will be authenticate the B here. So let's see in detail how it works. So now in the Needham-Schroeder protocol, there are 4 versions are there. First one is preliminary version 1, next one is version 2, next is version 3, and final version here. So we'll see one by one. First we'll start with the preliminary version 1 here. So in the preliminary version 1, this is your preliminary version 1. So now A and B want to communicate here. For communicating, A and B entity wants the session key. That session key A and B will get from where? A and B will get from the KDC. So that's why A will send the message here. First message, that message contains what? Identification of A and identification of B. After receiving this message, KDC will reply for this message. That reply message contains what? Identification A and short term key, that is KAB. This one you call as a session key, and these two messages are concatenated, and these two messages are encrypted using the private key of, that is the long term key of the B here. And okay, one more extra message it is, that is the KAB, that is session key, and this whole thing is encrypted using the long term key of the E here, and that encrypted message KDC will forward to A. So now here this EB, okay, encrypted message of this one you call as what? It is this EB inside the bracket, identification of A and common session key. This one only actually you will call as a ticket. So now this ticket is used to communicate with this key is actually used by entity A to communicate with the B here. So this KDC will generate the tickets and it provides that key ticket to A here. And afterwards A decrypts this message. After decryption, okay, A can see only what? Only the session key here. Okay, but A can't decrypt this ticket here. But this ticket is generated for whom? This ticket is generated for the B here, entity B here. So now that's why what does the A will do? It sends the ticket as it is, and along with that, with the help of the session key, it encrypts the nouns. That nouns is generated by whom? R1 means what? It is a challenge. That challenge you actually call as a nouns, and this nouns is encrypted by the generated by A, and it is encrypted using what? Session key. AB is the short term key and this is the session key here. And this ticket as it is, it forwards to entity B. When entity B receives the message, it decrypts. Okay, it decrypts the ticket with the help of its key, okay, that long term key. Then it will access the identification of A and also it accesses the common session key here. Okay, and also it decrypts the R1 also with the help of the short term key, that is the session key here. After decrypting, this entity B will send the reply. In that reply message, this nouns, okay, this challenge is decremented by 1 and it generates its own nouns as a R2, that one you call as a challenge, and these two messages are encrypted using the common session key and it forwards that message to A. When A receives, it decrypts this message with the help of this common session key, and afterwards it compares this R1 minus 1 with the whatever the R1 it is sent by A. If both are same, that is decremented by 1, based on that it compares. If both are same, then it authenticates entity B here. Now A has to authenticate. So for that, what does the A will do now? A will encrypt the R2 by decrementing by 1 and with the help of the session key, and it forwards that to the B here. Whenever B receives this message, it decrypts and after that it verifies this R2 with the whatever the R2 it is sent by B here. If both are same, then B will authenticate A. In this way, A and B will authenticate each other, and based on that they will continue with the further communication. This is how this Needham-Schroeder protocol works in the preliminary version. But here you will face one problem, that is what you call as a man in the middle attack on preliminary version 1. What it is attack? Let's see. See here, same thing. Okay, now A and B want to communicate here. So for that, A will send the request message to KDC, that is the message 1. It contains identification of A and identification of B here. Before it is reached to KDC, it is interrupted by third party as a attacker. So this person only you call as a impersonation. So now this X will receive this message. Nothing this X will do. Simply it forwards this message as a 1 dash here. So but here it makes the modification what here? In the place of B's identification, X will send its identification. So now and that message is received by KDC. After receiving, KDC what will do now? KDC will generate one common session key, and that common session key is what it is? AX. This is unknown by KDC. Now KDC will think that what? A want to communicate with the X here. But A's intention is what? A want to communicate with the B. Okay. But here X interrupts and it in the place of B, it sends its identification, and whenever KDC receives that message, KDC will think that now X and A want to communicate here, and based on that, it will generate a short-term key as a common session key as a KSC, and identification A. It encrypts using the what? It uses the X private key and it encrypts. This is the ticket to communicate here, and same common session key, and it is encrypted using the long term key as a here. So now whenever A receives that message, so simply A what will do now? Same thing, it thinks that is I am getting the message from the B here, but actually it is receiving the message from whom? It is getting the ticket okay, it is having the ticket to communicate with the X here, but that thing is hidden by A now, that A don't know that procedure here. So simply what A will do now, so it sends the identification of A. This is the ticket. This ticket it simply forwards as it is, and it generates its own challenge as a R1, and it encrypts that one using a EAX, and it forwards to X here. See, whenever X receives, X simply decrements, okay, challenge, and it generates its own R2 and it forwards to A here. And whenever A receives, it decrypts, and it okay, with the help of the common session key, it decrypts and it compares this R1 with this R1, and based on that it authenticates X now. So in the same way, A will forward the message as a reply. In that reply what it contains? Okay, nouns generated by R2, okay, sorry, X, that one is decremented, and with the help of the session key, that is the short term key, it encrypts and it forwards to X here. So now A is also authenticated in this way. Okay, after comparing this one, A will think that now I am communicating with the B here, but actually it is communicating with whom? X. This is X is playing the role of the B now. So that's why you are calling this one as a man in the middle attack here. So this one also called as a impassionate attack here. Okay, impassionate attack means what it is? Now X is playing the role of B, and that thing is unknown by A here. Then how will resolve this problem? Let's see. Okay, so now due to that problem only, okay, we are moving to the next version as a version 2 here. So in the version 2, same message, now A and B also want to communicate here, but for that in the message 1 it seems same as a A's identification and B's identification, but in the second message KDC whatever it reply, no, in that reply you are adding one extra thing, that is the identification of B also. Okay, this identification of A is there, but identification of B you are not sending in the preliminary version. Because of that only you face the problem. Okay, that's why here you are adding one extra message, that is the identification of B. Whenever A receives, it checks the identification, and based on that it further makes the communication. This procedure you already know, no? So in this way A and B communicates now. Now in the preliminary version also you will get the same attack, that is the man in the middle attack, or you can call as a replay attack. So for this one, first I'll explain scenario. Scenario is here, so assume that P is lost his key. Okay, so P is lost his key, so that's why P will send the request to KDC, I lost my key, so that's why you give me or generate me as a new key here. So after that B will get the new key here, and this new key whatever it is received by B, that thing is not known by A now. This is the scenario. So now with the help of this scenario, let's see how man in the middle attack works here. Same, first A and B as identification, A will send to KDC. When KDC receives, it sends the reply. See here, B is the identification of the B here. So now thing is what here, this 2 dash, okay, this X will make This X is what it is. So this X is the attacker. So this attacker will interrupt, and in the place of the B, now it adds the B dash. B dash is what? It is the old key. Assume that X is having the old key. How he got that old key? By continuously observing the previous communication of the B, it is okay able to get the key. Because of that, when B get to know that my key is stolen by someone, it is reported to KDC and he got the new key here. But that thing is hidden from A here. So that benefit attacker will utilize, and in the place of the B, simply it adds the B dash old key and it forwards to A here. A don't know that B is having the new key, but it makes the assume that this is the B's key, and like that it forwards to B now. Same procedure here. Okay. So identification of A and session key, all those things, but here session keys and encryption long term key you are encrypting with the help of the old key. This old key is known by X, but this is a old key, that information is not known by A here. So that's why simply it forwards, but now that message is received by whom? It is received by X. So but this is not known by the A here. In this way, X as an attacker will attack this one here, and you are using the word as a replay attack here. Replay attack means what it is? Whatever the message it is received, no, same message it forwards to A here. Only thing is what, in the place of the new key, it replaces with the old key here, and it do the procedure here. So this is the issue comes under in this version 2 here. To resolve this one, so now you are used one more version, that is the preliminary version 3. In the preliminary version, along with the A and B identification, you are generating one challenge R3 and you are forwarding here. So now here that R3 whenever A receives, so now if okay after the after decrypting, it compares, if both are same, then A will think that yes, I am getting the reply from the KDC only. So this is the extra thing you are adding here. You are adding the challenge from the A while making the first message communication, and further procedure it repeated as it is. So next is, for example, now this is the one modification you are done here. In the earlier version, in the place of AB, now you are adding one more extra thing, that is the response challenge, that is the challenge R3, and you are forwarding the procedure here. In this way it communicates, and it both A and B will prove their authentication. A will authenticate B and B will authenticate A here. Now in the preliminary version also you will get the attack here. That is what you call as a replay attack on the preliminary. Let's see how it is. Up to here it is good. Okay. So now here, whenever it sends the message here, its first message is forwarded from A to KDC here. Okay, so now after that, what are the message you will send? No. So now in the second message, A will receive and decrypts, that are the things will do, it will do, and after that, what is the thing will do now? This X attacker interrupts and it forward the message like this. Okay, so now after forwarding this one, A dash, okay, A dash is what it is, A dash is the X here, it doesn't doing anything here. Okay, so it takes the session key, and with the help of that session key, it encrypts this, sorry, it decrypts this R1, and same message it forwards to B here. Whenever B will receive this message, it will send the reply to X here. So now X will, what is the thing will do now? So X will decrypts, and after that it get the challenge of R2. Okay, this R2 is generated by entity B, and it decrements by 1, and it encrypts and it forwards to A here. So now earlier you are using the B's key, now X will using the A's key here. So now in this way it here also nothing it is doing. In the place of A, now you are using the A dash and you are doing the procedure, and B will think that I am getting the message from A, but actually it is receiving the messages from the X here. So now how we'll resolve this one? Okay, that is the final version here. In the final version, see the thing here. First A will send the request to B here. So now A want to communicate with the B here. A wish to communicate with the B. That's why A will send first message that contains identification of A and identification of B here. So now whenever B receives this message, it generates the challenge as R4, and that R4 is encrypted using B. B is private key, that is the long term key, and with the help of this long term key R4 is encrypted, and that one you are forwarding to A here. So now simply thing is what, A can't decrypt this message because only that key is long term key is shared by KDC and B. So that's why A don't know what is the key here. So that's why for that message it adds the identification of A, identification of B, and it generates its challenge as R3, and now this message it forwards to KDC. Now KDC what will do now? So for the same message it generates a ticket. So that ticket contains what? Identification of A, okay, and common session key and R4. See, this is the R4 whatever it is received by the B now, because KDC can decrypt that R4. Now for that R4 it gets, and once again for that R4 it concatenates two more things, that is one is authentication of A and KB, and it forwards that, and this one is encrypted using what? Once again it is encrypted using the B's long term key, and it having the R3, B's identification and common session key. This old message once again it is encrypted using the long term key of the A here, okay, and this is the ticket it is generated for B here. Okay, this is ticket and this is the message here. Whenever A receives this message, so it forwards this ticket as it is to B, because this is the ticket for entity B here, and it generates its own nouns as a challenge R1, and it is encrypted using a EAB. It is the common session key. This one is the short term key, it is, okay, short term key, and that common session key is known by both A and B. That's why it is encrypted with the AB, and it forwards that to entity B here. When entity B receives this message, it decrypts with the help of common session. First it decrypts this message with the help of long term key. After decryption it will see the identification session key and also R4. This challenge R4 and earlier challenge R4, whatever it is sent, if both are same, then meaning of this one is what? Yes, I am getting the message from the A only. Means what? In this way A proves it authentication. Now B can authenticate A after receiving this message here. So now after encrypting, B will get this KEB as a common session key. With the help of that session key, it decrypts R1 and it forwards to the R1, and it arrow mark is missing. Okay, it forwards to, sorry, it is arrow mark is missed. So afterwards it forwards that to the A here. So in the forwarded message it contains what? R1 minus 1. Already it is received this R1, it decrypts that challenge and it generates its own challenge R2, and these two are encrypted using the common session key, and it forwards that to A here. Okay, when A receives that message, then B is authenticated. Okay, now A has to authenticate itself. So now how will it make the authentication proof? That is by, okay, it reduces the challenge by 1 and it forwards that one with the comma. It encrypts that R2 okay, -1 using the common session key, short term key, and it forwards that message to entity B. When B receives, it authenticates A. So now when A receives this message, it authenticates B. So now in this way A and B authenticates itself, okay, mutually A and B will authenticates, and after authentication they will do the further communication here. This is the final version of the Needham-Stoddard protocol here. Is it clear now? Okay. This is about Needham-Stoddard protocol here. Next, one more protocol is there, that is the Kerberos message sequence. So in this message sequence, you are using the two extra thing, authentication service and ticket granting service here. So these are the two services you are using while making the communication here. So when we will usually go for the Kerberos message sequencing. For example, assume that C is a client and this client want to communicate with the multiple server. For all the server, it has to generate a different password. Then for the C, it is very difficult to remember all those passwords, and using that password communicate with the all the servers. So that's why to resolve this problem, you are using this Kerberos protocol. In the Kerberos protocols, what is the thing we'll do now? So now if you want to communicate with the multiple server, instead of using the multiple passwords, you can use only single password, and with the help of that single password, you can communicate now. The C is the client and S is the server. So now how you will get that password? To generate that one, first you have to get the permission from whom? You have to get the permission from the two authorities, AS and the TGS here. So now for that, first thing is what? If client want to communicate with the server S, so before that it has to send the message to S here. So now in the first message, what it contains now? Okay, 1 second. So if client and server want to communicate here, sorry, mouse problem it is. So now it sends the first message. That is what it is. C requests the ticket granting ticket. Okay, ticket granting ticket means what? Now it wants the ticket granting here. So now that request message client will send to the AS. Whenever AS receives this message, it reply to that message. That reply message is what contains? It contains the ticket granting ticket. Okay. So now ticket granting as a ticket. So now meaning of that one is what? As client can communicate with the ticket granting service. So for that you require one ticket. That ticket is now you will get from AS. Okay. So now when the client will get that one, it sends that service granting ticket. What are the service granting ticket? It is received by AS. That one it forwards to in the third message to TGS. When TGS receives that message, okay, it provides a service granting ticket, and along with that it adds the one session key. That session key you will use for the further communication with the server here. So fourth message, it is a reply to the request. Okay, that is the request is what it is 3, and for that third message TGS will reply by sending the this message 4 here. So whenever this client will receive that message, then it authenticates itself in the fifth message. Okay, and S will authenticates the client in the sixth message here. How it works, let's see here. This is the general flow. So what actually each message contains, let's see. So now for example, this is the receipt of ticket granting ticket here. Message 1 contains what? C is the client, it is sending the request to AS, okay, authentication service. So now in this one it contains what? Identification of C and request for the TGS, and also it is contain the times. Times is the session key. Sorry, that time when that particular session is started, that session key and challenge generated by R1 here. When this message 1 is received by AS will reply to C. So that reply message contains what? Identification of C and ticket to TGS. Okay, TGS, you now it is granting the ticket. That ticket you can use to communicate with the TGS with the help of this session key, TGS key here. What actually this ticket TGS contains? That is contains the TGS. Okay, that is the key. With the help of this key, message is encrypted. That message contains what? Identification of C and identification of TGS and KC comma TGS. This is the session key, and this session key is common to both C and TGS. With the help of this session key, they can communicate here. And what is the timing of when that session is started here? This all in message is encrypted using what? Using the long term key of the TGC here. Next, okay, that message once again it is encrypted. Okay, ticket TGC, this is the message it contains, and along with that, even this one, it is what? This is the ticket, and this ticket is for which purpose? This is the permission for the server to communicate with the TGS, but it can't decrypt this information because it is encrypted using the long-term key of the TGS here. That's why along with this you are having one more message. That message contains what? Along with that you are having the some more information, that is TGS, identification of TGS, session key, common session key, and when session is started, that time, and challenge that is generated by C here. So this whole thing it is encrypted using what? It is encrypted using the long term key of C here. Okay. Step 2, receipt of service granting ticket. Now service granting it is received by AS here. So message 3, what? Message 3 is sent by client to TGS. What it contains? S. Okay, that is the server, and times is the, as I told, when session is started. Authenticator C here. Authenticator C, what it contains? Let's see. Session key. Okay, that is the short term key, and identification of C, and TS1. TS1 is the timestamp. Timestamp means what? When this particular message is generated, that time you are adding here. Okay, this is the authenticator C here. Session this identification of C and timestamp when this message is generated, that time. These two informations are encrypted using the short term key here, and that key is common to C and TGS here. Next, ticket TGS, that one you have to forward as it is, whatever it is received by the AS, and it generates the R2 as a challenge. This R2 is a challenge generated by whom? It is generated by C here. So when that message is received by TGS, TGS will give the reply to that particular message. To whom it will reply? To the client here. What reply message contain? Identification of client, ticket S. Ticket S means what it is? S, it is generating one ticket, and with the help of that ticket, A can authenticate the server, and that ticket it used to further communication here. So the ticket S contains what? Identification of client, and KCS, this is the common session key used between client and server, and times is what? When session is started. Times is the session timing starting, and TS1 is the message timestamp when message is started. And this whole thing is encrypted using what? It is encrypted using the long-term key of the server. Meaning of this one what? This one can be decrypted by only server here. That is what you call as a ticket S. And along with that you are having one more information, extra information, that is the EC TGS. It is encrypted using the short-term common key here. S. Okay, identification of the server, and this is the session key is generated by TGS to make further communication between client and server, and when session started, that session T, and R2, that is the challenge, it is whatever it is received by the C, that one it just sends as it is, and this whole information is encrypted using the common session key which is used between C and TS here. Okay, now client and server has to authenticate here. First, client will send the message for authentication to server that contains what? Ticket S. Ticket S is encrypted by using the long term key of the server here, and authenticator C here. Authenticator C contains what? Session key. Okay, so common session key, it is encrypted using common session key. What message it contains? What? It is the identification of C and timestamp generated. When this particular message is generated, that time here. TS1 is the message 3 when it is generated, that time, and when message 5 is generated, that time is here. These two are concatenated and that message is encrypted using the common session key which you can use between the client and server here. When in this way, client will authenticate to server here. Now server has to authenticate to client here. How? This is the reply message. It contains what? That timestamp plus 1 here. Okay, this information is encrypted using the common session key, that is the short term key used between the client and server here. Okay, so using this common session key, this message is encrypted. Whenever the client receives this message, it decrypts, and that TS2 timestamp and this TS2 it compares if it is both are same. This way now server client will authenticate the server here. This is how client and server will authenticate, and after this authentication process client and server can communicate further. So this is what you call as a Kerberos protocol here. Next, one more you are using, other than the cryptography, you can also use the biometrics for providing the security. Biometrics contains biological features or characteristics of a person, so that uniquely identifies him or her over his or her lifetime here. Physical features of the person you can use for the biometrics. Biometrics means what? It may be the fingerprints or maybe the iris. All these things you can use for the authentication purpose and also for the identification purpose. Nowadays everywhere, even if you take your mobile also, if you want to open your mobile, then it asks the authentication. That authentication is what here? That is your fingerprints. So this is also one type of the authentication, but it is the physical feature here. So physical features if you are using, that is of the biometrics. Next one is the characteristics of a person. Writing styles, gesture of the person, those things also you can consider as a signature too for identify that particular person here. So I hope you got the concept. So how authentication tool works with the help of those two protocols, and one more way of providing the security other than the cryptography, that is the biometric. Thank you.